October 14th, 1066, dawn breaks over the rolling hills of East Sussex as 7,000 Anglo-Saxon warriors form their legendary shield wall atop Senlac Ridge. King Harold Godwinson's elite housecarls grip their mighty Danish battle axes, ready to face William the Conqueror's Norman cavalry in what will become one of history's most decisive battles. But let's change one thing. Crouched in the morning mist, wearing gear that won't exist for another 1,000 years, is a figure no medieval army has ever encountered. A United States Navy SEAL, armed with weapons that could reshape the entire course of European history. So what happens when the most elite special operations warrior on Earth is dropped into the bloodiest medieval battlefield of all time? Can one man with future technology alter the fate of kingdoms? Or will 1,000 years of military evolution mean nothing against Norman steel and Saxon determination? This isn't your typical medieval foot soldier. A modern Navy SEAL represents over a year of the most brutal training known to military science. These operators can run 1.5 miles in under 10 minutes while carrying 90 pounds of gear, place shots through a quarter at 300 meters, and coordinate strikes using encrypted communications that would seem like magic to 11th century minds. Our SEAL carries an M4A1 carbine capable of firing 950 rounds per minute on full auto, each 5.56 millimeter projectile traveling at 3 times the speed of a crossbow bolt. His secondary weapon is a 9mm sidearm for close encounters, plus fragmentation grenades that pack more explosive power than anything medieval engineers could imagine. All of this firepower is wrapped in modern ballistic armor with ceramic trauma plates designed to stop bullets traveling faster than sound. His Kevlar helmet alone could deflect a sword thrust that would cave in any Norman casque. Night vision goggles give him the eyes of a predator in darkness, while tactical gloves and reinforced boots turn him into a walking fortress. Combat medical supplies include enough morphine to fight through wounds that would drop a knight instantly. Against him stands the flower of Norman chivalry and Saxon resistance. William's army brings over 1,000 mounted knights, the medieval equivalent of modern tanks. These heavy cavalry warriors charge with 12-foot lances while wearing chainmail hauberks that took skilled armorers months to craft. Each ring of their mail was individually riveted by hand, creating flexible protection that could turn aside axe blows and sword thrusts. Norman archers carry crossbows, cutting-edge technology for 1066, whose steel-tipped bolts could punch through wooden shields at 200 yards. Supporting them are Breton cavalry specialists trained in anti-shield wall tactics, experts at breaking the very formation that made Anglo-Saxon armies legendary. The English forces are no less formidable. King Harold's housecarls represent Europe's finest professional warriors, wielding two-handed Danish axes capable of cleaving through horse and rider in a single stroke. Their shield wall formation has been perfected over centuries, a living fortress of overlapping wooden shields reinforced with iron bosses. Each Saxon warrior carries a spear for thrusting, a sayax knife for close work, and the fortunate few possess pattern-welded swords whose steel was folded and refolded until it gleamed like silver. These men fought at Stamford Bridge just 3 weeks ago, crushing a Viking army in a battle so brutal it ended the age of Norse invasions forever. As our SEAL takes position on the ridge, the tactical situation becomes clear. Harold has chosen his ground perfectly, forcing the Normans to attack uphill against a defensive formation that has broken cavalry charges for generations. The Anglo-Saxon shield wall stretches 400 yards across the ridgeline, a wall of wood, iron, and flesh that has never been broken by frontal assault. Behind it, Saxon archers prepare volleys of arrows, while Harold's personal guard grips their legendary axes, ready to die before yielding an inch. But this morning brings something no medieval commander has ever faced: radio communication that allows instant coordination across impossible distances, weapons that fire without pause or reload, explosives that can shatter formations in seconds. Most critically, night vision that turns darkness from an ally into a weapon. The Norman horns sound across the valley as William's cavalry begins their advance. Thousands of hoofbeats thunder against the earth as the greatest heavy cavalry force in Europe charges toward what they believe is just another Saxon shield wall. They have no idea they're about to witness the most lopsided medieval battle in history. The seal doesn't wait for the charge to reach him. At 800 meters, well beyond the range of any medieval weapon, he opens fire with controlled bursts from his M4A1. The first Norman knight simply vanishes from his saddle, his chainmail offering no more protection than cloth against a high-velocity rifle round. Then another disappears, and another. The charging cavalry formation begins to waver as riders fall for reasons they cannot comprehend. No crossbow bolt, no arrow, nothing visible strikes them down. They simply collapse as if touched by the hand of death itself. Panic spread through the Norman ranks like wildfire. Horses rear and bolt as their riders tumble lifeless to the ground. The disciplined charge dissolves into chaos as knights struggle to control terrified mounts while their comrades fall around them. Some wheel their horses around, fleeing back towards their own lines. Others press forward, driven by courage or confusion, only to meet the same invisible fate. Within minutes, William's unstoppable heavy cavalry has been reduced to scattered groups of bewildered survivors. From the Saxon shield wall comes a sound never heard before on any battlefield. Complete silence. 7,000 veteran warriors, men who faced Viking berserkers and Norman steel without flinching, stand frozen in shock. They watch their enemies fall without cause, struck down by forces beyond their understanding. Some cross themselves and mutter prayers. Others grip their weapons tighter, wondering if they're witnessing divine intervention or diabolic sorcery. King Harold himself stares in disbelief as the Norman cavalry, the most feared military force in Western Europe, crumbles before his eyes. His housecarls, warriors who've never shown fear in battle, shift nervously behind their shields. The mysterious figure in strange armor continues his deadly work with mechanical precision, each burst from his weapon claiming another Norman life. But medieval armies were built to absorb terrible casualties, and William's force numbers over 8,000 men. The Duke of Normandy rallies his remaining cavalry while his infantry advances in tight formation, shields raised against this unknown threat. Crossbow bolts begin raining toward the ridge as Norman archers attempt to suppress whatever witchcraft has decimated their cavalry. The steel-tipped projectiles clatter harmlessly off the seal's ballistic armor, each impact no more threatening than thrown pebbles. The seal switches tactics, pulling the pin on a fragmentation grenade and lobbing it into the advancing Infantry formation. Medieval minds have no concept for what happens next. The explosion tears through the Norman ranks like the wrath of God himself, scattering bodies and sending survivors stumbling backward in terror. Limbs and weapons fly through the air as the concussion wave flattens men in full armor. The sound alone, louder than any thunder, causes horses throughout the battlefield to bolt in panic. When the smoke clears over Senlac Ridge, one man stands victorious among the carnage of two armies. The Norman invasion lies shattered, William the Conqueror's body cooling on English soil. The course of European history has been rewritten by 1,000 years of military evolution condensed into a single morning of medieval mayhem. One Navy SEAL, 200 rounds of ammunition, and a handful of grenades have accomplished what the Anglo-Saxon shield wall could never achieve alone, proving that sometimes the most advanced warrior isn't the one with the biggest sword, but the one with the biggest technological advantage. What do you think would happen if a modern Marine battalion faced the Roman legions at their peak? Check out this video to find out.